Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer Blather 287. Oh, I have to tell you, in a little while, why I may hesitate from time to time today. And choosing irrationality. Given a choice between a feral band of savages plundering, raping, strangling babies with their bare hands, roasting them in their families' kitchens, and then hiding behind their own children and the skirts of their women, and their victims, and those striving to bring justice, whose side would you take? Democrats? Choose the savages. Given a choice between child traffickers, wife beaters, drug dealers, pimps, and gangsters, or law enforcement officers taking them out of the streets, whose side would you take? Well, Democrats choose child traffickers and gangbangers. Given a choice between ceding the streets of your city to muggers, robbers, panhandlers, illegal aliens, drug cartels, and vandals, or to lawful government officials restoring peace, taking the criminals to the pokey, and making your park safe for your children again, whose side would you take? Democrats choose criminals, drug cartels, and rapists, and illegal aliens, heavy on the illegal aliens. In any field, on any issue, under any circumstance, Democrats choose the criminally irrational over any other choice. From mutilating, castrating, and drugging children until they become deranged murderers, to wasting valuable resources to bring misery to taxpayers over yesterday's delusional obsessions like we're running out of water, or oil, or gas, land, food, air, trees, fish, ozone, to legalizing trespassing, theft, violence, and thievery. Fraudsters pretending to be politicians choose insanity. Hopefully, the rest of us, tired of the exploitation of nonsense, will choose to support our president in his efforts to return a measure of common sense to our lives. Our security, prosperity, and happiness depend on it. Don't let irrationality triumph. Bring the loony bins back. This is Solomon Tess Bradley, the largest human repository of useless information, from my perch in my golden cage in Florida. And right next to me, as usual, my friend Thomas Winter, the only living expert in World War I flamethrowers, and should I say, savant extraordinaire. How about that? That was, even though it's French, I apologize. I shouldn't be using French. And as you can see, my voice is not quite what it normally is. So you might get a little bit of a break from me because I have been in the clutches of some nasty fucking flu. It's going to be a Chinese flu because Chinese are to blame for everything that's wrong in the world. It isn't COVID though. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I know what it isn't, and COVID is not one of them. So, as I try to recuperate after a week of being totally wasted, forgive me if I'm not up to my usual ball busting standards. Uh, Thomas, you may get a break from me today.
It's okay. Yeah, my brother bought a couple of salad packs, and I stopped eating salad packs 10 years ago because the people who picked the salad packs were crapping on them. Yep. So my brother spent 4 days throwing up, and he lost 25 pounds of fluid, and he's only
Holy
recovered today. He moved to Nevada, and currently he's in between. He's about to go on Medicare, but he doesn't have private insurance. So, of course, he gets sick. And if he goes to the emergency room, he'll end up with a $10,000 bill or whatever.
Yeah,
and so he's only today is the first time. He said he had bright red eyes from retching, which is called petechia, which happens when people strangle you.
Yeah, I was going to say it's lack of oxygen in the epithelium. And
Yeah.
what happens whenever you are deprived of oxygen, whether it is coughing, puking, or being strangled?
Yep. And okay, I stopped with the salad packs because I had read that the people picking the vegetables that went into the salad packs were ordered to crap in the fields because the slave owners who had them picking the vegetables didn't have porta potties or anything. Yep. And we're talking about the Democrats always choosing irrationality. In opposition to Trump, they're choosing to support a hideous enslavement of people from South America. The people who prepare the chickens for Tyson's or whatever, that company's been closed down multiple times because they don't allow their chicken preparers bathroom breaks. So they're all wearing Depends diapers. These people are paid 25 cents on the dollar to be our slaves.
Leaky ones.
Exactly. And you and I have talked endlessly about the journey up to this country where all females of all ages are raped and all males are press ganged into cartels. And the Democrats are the moral ones. Trump is immoral. The Democrats are moral. And it's moral to have a slave class in this country. The children of illegal aliens born in this country generally don't perform well by any metric. Generally, most of them don't speak any language fluently. So you're just perpetuating. You're growing another element of the slave class. And we hear an awful lot about slavery, but only slavery that used to exist hundreds of years ago. There's still slavery today in this country, and it's being supported by the Democratic Party.
Yes,
I oppose slavery.
Much of
I do not want to eat
California. There is slavery in the farms in California.
Of course, I mean everything that this is why the Democrats are crashing and burning is because my governor is now outpolling AOC as the guy most fit to run in 2028, and he's flooding YouTube with commercials, and he's decided that his best angle is filmed it from below with his head tilted back. So we have these magnificent views up his nostrils as he's telling us that the plebiscite on robbing Republicans of all representation, it's now going to be on the ballot. And this thing is going to crash and burn. He's going to crash and burn. But I think he's more likely now than before to be the nominee in 2028. And if he is the nominee in 2028, then it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be fun to watch. He's going to go up against J.D. Vance. They're going to have one debate after which he's going to say never again. And he'll be out there sputtering, and at some point the media will turn against him and start asking him for concrete specifics, and they'll ask him about the state he left California in, and he'll get all bitchy, and he'll do that hand thing he's doing now, and he also dances now when he gives interviews. So it's going to be spectacular. He's going to be more fun than AOC would have been. So I'm looking forward.
I don't know about that. I think they're about the same level of fun.
Well, maybe they can form a team, and she'll be his Kamala Harris, and it'll be exactly this. I mean, think about it. These people.
Maybe we can have Nancy Pelosi as his running mate, and we can have new scum and old scum.
Well, think about how deluded these people were to think that Kamala was going to win in a landslide, and Trump's victory honestly took them by surprise. Like, they were shocked that it happened. They thought that Kamala Harris, the same person you and I know of, was going to defeat Trump in a landslide. They honestly thought that.
The same person you and I said, I'd be very surprised if Trump doesn't win big. I cannot believe. By the way, I think they did cheat. I cannot believe that the woman got 47% of the vote.
No,
It's
of course
impossible.
not.
It's
Of course not.
impossible. It didn't happen.
About a third of the country is crazy left. You heard that Taylor
Yeah.
Lorenz wrote a piece exposing the fact that multiple leftist social media influencers are being paid $8,000 a month to blather Democratic Party talking points, and
Yeah.
this has caused a massive conflict in the Democratic Party, because the progressive base, they are crazy. They are insane.
Totally.
And they think that someone like Gavin Newsom is conservative. So I don't even have any idea who they want to run for president.
Mandami.
Mamdani.
Yeah, the winning formula, Mandami and Ilan Omar.
Yeah. Okay, the Democratic Party withdrew its endorsement of the Somali running for mayor of Minneapolis.
Fateh,
Yeah.
the little rat-faced skinny moron.
And that caused a huge problem. The Democratic Party, now that they're funding the taxpayer dollars that they stole, now that that's getting cut off, we're seeing that they don't have any viability at all.
No,
They're polling at what, 13% popularity? I mean, holy God.
and that's too much. I do believe, by the way, when you say 1/3 of the country is deranged left, I don't think it's more than 20%, to tell you the truth.
That's possible too.
Yeah, I think it's enlarged. I mean, you remember Abilio Acosta,
No.
otherwise known as Jim Acosta?
Oh,
Yeah, his name is Abilio Jaime, and he goes by Jim. Abilio, who blocked me when I called him Abilio in Twitter one day, he was receiving $4 million to correct misinformation, to spread the truth. $4 million from USAID.
mm.
You gotta be shitting me. It's the Ministry of Truth type of shit.
Well, this is the thing that the people who were receiving this $8,000 a month, their defense of themselves is astonishing. I heard one of them say they're being paid to go to take courses in how to succeed in social media. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Is this a permanent course? You're going to take this course for the rest of your life? A course? How long is a course in how to succeed in social media? 2 weeks? You're getting paid $8,000 a month. And who, when they're giving courses, how often do the people giving courses pay you to take their courses? It's the other way around. So the way that they're trying to explain, they're claiming that they've never been told what to say. Well, the contract that they signed basically says that certain topics are off limits. And you can absolutely bet they're not told what to say. They're told what not to say.
Not to say. But I know, because once they made a mistake, and I used to get them every fucking morning, the DNC talking points at 4:30 a.m. I used to get an email.
Yeah.
Somehow, somebody put me in the list. I think they did it for shits. A friend did it for shits and giggles. And man, if sometimes it seems to you that every fucking asshole on TV is a parrot and that they're all repeating the thing, like a 1960s doll.
Well,
Trump bad.
when the illegal alien Sikh truck driver killed the family of three and showed no reaction whatsoever, suddenly hundreds of Indians were going online saying word for word exactly the same thing.
Same thing.
He made one mistake. 45 years in prison is too long. He's only supporting his family.
Well, I agree. The electric chair is much better option. 45 years is too long.
Yeah, I mean,
execute him now.
The eeriness, the idea that they would imagine that people wouldn't pick up on the fact that we're seeing hundreds of videos in which everybody is saying exactly the same thing.
And then they did a fundraiser. Then they did a fundraiser and they collected $2.5 million in the first hour. How many donors do you think it took to raise $2.5 million?
Well, this is one donor.
The rest is decoration, baby.
Well, this is a losing. I mean, what the hell are they? What are they thinking? This guy has no argument to make. He didn't speak English. He had no driver's license. He didn't understand any of the road signs out there. He made a U-turn on a freeway. He has no argument. So $1 million in legal defense he's going to get 45 years. That's all there is to it. He should plead guilty now. He filmed the accident himself.
Yes.
And he filmed his complete non-reaction himself. So, something's wrong with the guy.
Listen, the guy comes on the right-hand side of a freaking interstate and cuts 90 degrees to take a official business only U-turn and cuts the thing, and whoever was coming already at 80 miles an hour went straight under it.
Yeah.
That's criminal.
And he's going to be found guilty. He doesn't have an argument. He has no argument.
No. He's the rights, he's toast. The only thing he could do is, spare the state the expense of a trial, get a deal, 25 to life in exchange for a guilty plea for criminal negligence. And he might walk out of jail before he dies. Me, I wouldn't even take the deal. Just take him out there. It's criminally negligent. It's murder. It's not manslaughter. And take him to the chair.
Well, he picked a really bad time in American history to be an illegal alien truck driver who killed a family of 3 Americans. I mean, he doesn't have the press to save him anymore. He doesn't have the Democratic Party to save him anymore. The Democrats, it's an amazing thing. In D.C., the mayor of D.C. thanked Trump for bringing the crime rate, the murder rate down to zero. Residents of D.C. are having picnics in the parks now. And the Democrats are arguing that none of this should be happening.
Of course,
the mind boggles. The mind boggles.
No, we are born into this valley of tears to suffer. We are supposed to suffer and take it in the chin and not complain because we're not worthy. We are guilty of the original sin of whiteness and patriarchy, and we deserve anything that fate and the Democrats throw at us. Bullshit! Well, of course, the people of Washington, D.C. are going to be dancing in the streets within a month.
The argument that Democrats are making is that Republicans are pussies because they want to fight crime.
Right.
And that real men aren't bothered by murder and rape and home invasions. I mean, this is an argument of pure insanity. Imagine a lawyer getting up and saying, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client is a real man. He's a murderer. He's a real man. He's not a pussy like the prosecutor over there. I mean, the mind boggles again. It's they have nobody leading that party. That party is rudderless. They have nobody except maybe Trump's Judas goats. That's another possibility, is that they're being led right into the ground by Trump.
Well, they have nobody. They scared anybody with a half a brain out of the party a long time ago.
True.
Remember when Debbie Wasserman Schultz was the chairman of the DNC?
Yep.
It's been downhill since. Now think about that for 1 second. We've been going for, what is it now, 16 years? Downhill from Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Well,
it is an area entirely devoid of neurons.
I saw a chart that said that the Democrats had been steadily losing influence until Obama, and he gave them a huge kick. And then now that Obama's out of the picture, they're going back to that downhill slide.
Okay.
So
Obama gave him a kick in the balls.
Well, this is the thing that it's like the country woke up after picking up the world's ugliest person in the bar and waking up in bed next to them going, what in God's name did I do last night?
And by the way, people who say that Obama was the taker, I cannot. Obama psychopaths are the most idiotic cretins in a world filled with idiots. Bill Clinton was the most successful one in this game. He took a Democratic Party that was destroyed, did to the Democratic Party what that asshole, I'm thinking of when the Labour Party in England decided to eliminate Marx from its platform. And Clinton did more or less the same thing. Remember when Clinton came out, the era of big government is over.
Yeah.
And he actually won a lot of independents and even some Republicans to the cause. There's this guy that is taking our weapons away from us.
You can hate Clinton for good reasons, but Clinton is a brilliant. Clinton in his prime was a brilliant politician, and the difference between Clinton and Obama was that Clinton could debate. Clinton could go on hostile shows and defend himself. And the one
I remember when he went to speak at the convention of the Labour Party in England, he spoke for an hour, ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Put them all in their pocket. I don't know why he even tried to rape women, because they were throwing themselves at him.
Well, the one thing that
That guy,
the
yeah,
one good thing that Clinton did that Obama has nothing to compare to is after 9/11, Clinton went down to ground zero and he just stood there and listened to people who had lost members of their families.
yeah,
And he stood there all day while people showed him pictures and he studied the pictures and he hugged them. He provided Clinton's huge. He's like 6'4" or something.
uh,
And so he provided this sense of calm and strength that the country really needed. Obama's never done anything like that in his life.
wouldn't know
Obama
how to
is
do it.
capable of doing anything like that. For that one moment, Clinton put aside politics and went down and was
Yeah,
an American leader. Obama would never do that and could never do that.
no, that's what happened when Clinton joined George Senior in tours, goodwill tours around the world. That actually quite worked
Yeah,
at the request of Junior, and that included, getting support for victims of earthquakes and tsunamis and all that
yeah,
jazz. And he was able to do that and look like he was enjoying it. And then even came out with this thing, he's like an adoptive son of George Sr. now, which is all bullshit. I know it, but it worked. And somebody says here, Tony Blair. Yeah, I meant Tony Blair a little
yeah,
while ago. Tony Blair did to the Labour Party in England what Clinton did to the Democrats in the US. And for a while, it worked.
yeah. And see, the problem, okay, my brother and I were talking about Harry Reid tonight. Harry Reid was always known as a conservative, and then he went off the rails and
Yes,
he wrecked the party. And
an old scum.
we'll never know precisely why the Democrats did this, other than there's an issue that everybody ends up believing their own propaganda. If you were sitting here and you were lying to me every single night about, let's say your mother, let's say your mother, let's say your mother actually lived in Georgia and she wasn't there in your apartment, but you were telling me that your mother was there in the apartment. Exactly. At some point, if I confronted you, you would genuinely get angry at me and say, my mother's here, she's asleep, so she's not going to come to the video. You would start believing yourself that your mother was there, even though you knew that she wasn't. And the only explanation I can come up with for why the Democratic Party is crashing so horribly is that they've begun believing their own
Oh,
BS.
they have.
Obama said that about himself. He said that his biggest problem was believing his own BS, and he was telling the truth.
Oh, we have to reevaluate that statement later because Obama never tells the truth, not even by accident. The default is lie through your nose. Um, but yeah, they believe their own bullshit. But also remember when the Democrats were the most visceral campaigners
Mm-hmm.
for border security
Mm-hmm.
and deportation of illegal aliens and all that jazz.
Yeah, we have them all on tape. We have
We
them
have,
all on
yeah,
video.
all of them, from Jackie Schumer to Nancy Pelosi to the Hildebeest. Everybody is on record. Then they started, you know, whatever the Republicans say, we say the opposite. And they've been doing that now for 13 years to the point that they actually believe that shit. They kind of convinced themselves that these opposition by negation is what they actually believe in. I cannot understand how people can be that stupid, but they are.
Well, I saw a video about progressives reacting with rage about these influencers taking money to shore up the Democratic Party. And what he said is that it all comes down to Gaza. And he showed video after video after video of these people furious because all the people taking money were not talking about Gaza. And this is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. That talk about a losing, like whoever's going to run in 2028, regardless of the situation in the Middle East, they're going to be talking about Gaza. They're going to be talking about that, and it'll be demanded of them. And by 2028, the name Hamas is going to be a distant memory. You know, the Israelis wiped out the entire Houthi government. And the Houthis, they just wiped out the whole Houthi government. Yeah.
Yes.
The only one left is Al Houthi himself. And they're going to get him. I mean, come on.
I mean, we could start like a little bet pool in beer Blather, see who's closest to the demise of Al Houthi.
Yeah.
Mohammed Al Houthi. Remember when he was so prominent in Twitter?
Yeah, because the Saudis were fighting him, and since the Saudis are as evil as Israel, then we have to choose the side of Al Houthi, regardless of the fact that the Houthis are savages. They're savages. They're just as bad as the Islamic State. I don't know. Did you see the video taken in Canada on the Canadian bus? Did you see that video? The attack on a Muslim guy with a big beard got on the bus, muttering to himself, and the guy standing next to him was very piously making sure not to look at him because he was my brother Canadian, and the Muslim guy slit the other guy's throat. The guy was holding a cup of coffee, a Starbucks coffee. He started fighting the guy, and he never let go of his coffee. His throat was cut, and he ended up. Everyone on the bus was screaming. Nobody helped the throat cut guy. The throat cut guy ended up pushing the terrorist off the bus. Luckily, the cut was relatively shallow. It bled a lot, but it didn't hit any major arteries. So the terrorist called up 911 and he said, I just cut somebody's throat and I'm going to keep doing it until all of Canada turns Muslim or starts paying the jizya, the tax that non-Muslims have to pay to Muslims.
Yes.
And the survival instinct has now been bred out of Canadians. When a weirdo gets on the bus and is standing next to you going, bah, 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 and he's staring at you, you walk away from him. You don't say I can't walk away from him because then that might be Islamophobic. No, you walk away from him. And if somebody gets their throat cut on the bus and they're fighting somebody, you try to help him. You don't just scream and say, "Oh, this is bad." For some reason.
But this is Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, Canadians cannot be accused of suffering from testicular fortitude.
No. No.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's really amazing.
And then I'm sure that Rebel News comes out. A Muslim threatens to take over the government of Canada, or some shit like that. Today, somebody came to visit me, and he was saying, "Did you see that video of the Muslim guy in a mosque saying how they're going to take over the U.S. and they were going to force us to this and that. And I said, and do you know how many crazy people talking shit there are in this country?
Well, do you know how many Muslims there are in this country? It's like what,
Actually, yes,
a million
2%,
point three or something?
a little bit more. It's 2% of the population right now. It's increased a little bit. So, there are a lot of them in Dearborn and Grand Rapids. And there are whole neighborhoods of New York. There are whole neighborhoods of New York with Russians, Ukrainians, Uzbeks, uh, Nepalese,
Well,
Sri Lankans.
also, every Muslim leader in this country, every real Muslim leader, has the FBI tip line on his cell phone.
On speed
It's
dial.
like they're not going to risk anything. This
Not.
is the best country in the world to be a Muslim.
Yes. Well,
you can
together
worship,
together with Israel.
and you're
Together
right. You're
with
right.
Israel. Because that's another one that people. So am I supposed to get scared? Of of course I'm not Islamophobic because I do not fear Islam. I
Well, I'm not.
despise Islamists. There's a difference.
Well, it isn't 2011 anymore. It isn't 2013 anymore. There's all sorts of wildness and stupidity happening in Britain, but there's
Yeah,
also shitloads of Eastern Europeans who've started to roll up their sleeves and deal with these issues. And at some
yeah.
point, I mean, if we're honest here, we're never going to see the green flag of Islam flying over
Of course, no,
Buckingham Palace or whatever.
no, no. Eh, remember when I told you what people say about London and all that jazz is simply not true. I was kind of like reporting to you from London. This very little has changed in the past 20 years. Very little has changed.
Well, here's what's happening. Transsexual activism is faddish. That's why it's happening in this country.
Yes,
It'll go away.
yes.
Jihadism was a fad in the UK in 2013. It went away.
It went away.
It went away. Um, there, despite the stupidity of the Europeans, they're not. I mean, okay, people. I saw. It was two videos side by side. One was Dublin celebrating St. Patrick's Day, and it was a parade, and 99% of the people were wearing hijabs and
Yeah.
whatever. And in Boston, and 99% of the people were white. And somebody was saying, I still can't get over this. Well, but what's happening in Ireland? Are those people burning down churches? Are they burning down mosques?
I hesitate to say no because there's always a possibility that one crazy son of a bitch will.
But on a big,
Uh,
on a large
Between you and the
scale.
other doorpost, a couple of drunken, or not drunken, but ideologically drunken bastards in some area of Dublin is not Ireland. In most of Ireland, they don't see any of this shit. They haven't seen the first Muslim yet.
Well, that's the thing, that it's the same thing about the UK. Like there's a hell of a lot of the UK that's like farmland.
Oh, like 90%, like 98% of it.
Yeah. So
Oh, but Manchester is a shithole. Manchester was a shithole 30 years ago.
it's always been a shithole. It's the thing is that the longer people live in the West, the less jihadists they become. It was a
course.
fad when the press created jihadism by saying that the Islamic State was the most powerful and effective and
Oh yeah,
it was
they did a hard sale.
exactly, it was a world power, and so all these fucks, these British and Pakistani Brits from Yorkshire wanted to be a part of it, but it was because they believed the press. They believed that the Islamic State was not couldn't be defeated, and the reality of the Islamic State was that it was people who didn't even know how to use aircraft. They didn't even know how to fly helicopters.
No.
They could drive.
And as we found out, neither did the Taliban.
Exactly. Look at the number one ethnic group that carries out violent rapes in Germany are Afghans. Okay, why are they in Germany? Why aren't they in the paradise on earth of Afghanistan? Well, because the Taliban.
Talk to Angela Merkel.
What?
Talk to Angela Merkel about that.
Well, the reason they're not in Afghanistan is because Afghanistan is hell on earth, and
Yes.
and
why are they raping women in Cologne? Because they can.
Yeah, you do that in Afghanistan, and they'll shoot you on the spot. They'll kneel you down and put a bullet.
The police in Germany are a bunch of fucking floozies. Because the government in Germany is too busy trying to protect themselves from your opinion. And because Angela Merkel, she was, God, one of these days, we're going to see the Stasi file on Angela Merkel, who was a KGB operative in East Germany.
Sure.
And that KGB operative and a member of in good standing of the Communist Party of Germany ended up being the conservative prime minister. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Well, when she came out and said that Islam had always been a part of German history, and nobody laughed her off the stage, I mean, that was amazing.
Pussies. If Germany's in trouble, it's because they're a bunch of pussies.
Okay, think about this. We're talking about irrationality, choosing irrationality. A few days ago, the Russians blanketed all of Germany with military drones. They flew drones over every military base and every military factory and everything. So what did the Germans do? The Germans said we are now in a state of conflict with Russia. What does that mean? Nothing.
They're conflicted. They want to go to bed, but they don't know if they want to go to bed as male or female.
Well, also in that statement, they said that they were in a state of conflict because of Russian social media in Germany.
Yeah,
like the drones.
Telegram.
The drones that were allowed to fly all over Germany and not get shot down, that wasn't as important as social media, as bots, Russian bots.
No. The same way that here, the balloons, the spy balloons that China was allowed to fly all over the U.S. It's not nearly as important as you or me saying caca in social media. Blind Io is saying, you would think the way people talk, that half the UK was Muslim. It's 2.7% and concentrated in a few cities. And I can tell you, London, Manchester, Edinburgh, and maybe a little bit in Europe, but not much, and that's about it. What you're seeing is a reaction to government pandering and stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally agree.
I have no
agree.
problem.
If anybody thinks that 2% of the population are going to take control of the country anytime, you need serious doses of psychotropics.
I fully support the marches in the UK by Brits carrying the St. George flag and everything.
Hey,
The government needs to be afraid of their own people.
yes, St. George for England, man.
Yeah, yeah, and I saw a police.
And by the way, I always loved the flag of Genoa flying over England.
The flag of Genoa.
Yeah, the flag of St. George.
Okay, yeah.
That's the flag of the city of Genoa, which the city of Genoa allowed England to use in their ships to sail safely in the Mediterranean. And up until about 50 years ago, England was paying royalties to Genoa for using the damn flag.
Oh,
So I always like an Italian flag, an Italian Republic flag over
sure,
London.
sure.
Eh,
No, I saw a video. A Brazilian went crazy in somewhere in London. He ran over somebody and jumped out of his truck with a samurai sword, and he hit this guy. The guy survived. Then he oh, okay, very nice.
eh, The
Yeah,
Maritime Republic of Zena.
okay.
There you go. Tom, you were saying, I'm sorry.
Oh, so he killed a 14-year-old, and they sent dozens of police armed with tasers. So they tased this guy 100 times before they finally brought him down. And then they determined that he just had a psychotic break.
Wow.
Yeah. And they had a
Delightful.
massive they didn't know what to do with him. And it was only because they found that he planned this all out that he actually ended up going to prison. He was I I prevented myself from writing on the video in the comment section. Too bad the cops didn't have those terrible American guns to stop this guy. He went on a 30-minute rampage because and he chopped up two cops because the cops were armed with pepper spray, a baton, and a taser because the cops weren't allowed to have ugly American handguns. And we've had guys with samurai swords in this country, and what happens is they get ventilated about 25 times, and then the problem's over. And who misses them? Nobody. And the Brits are still conflicted. They warn. I saw some chief of police warning people that you must not like certain videos because that'll get you arrested. We have police detectives who aren't on social media all day. So if we find out that you liked a certain video, you could go to jail. And it's like, well, what about the Brazilians with samurai swords? Like, what about them murdering 14-year-olds?
Plenty of them.
I don't know. I don't understand the value system. I think that Britain does what it does because its main course of action is to differentiate itself from the United States. And it's like, okay, if that's what's important to you, you should know that we here don't give a rat's ass what you do in terms of not arming your cops with guns. We think it's stupid, but
Well, and there is a question that might be argued that Brexit came in too late.
yeah,
And much of the uh, universe of social democratic Europe took hold of the government and institutions in England.
yeah,
And all of this political correctness bullshit that has been developing for the past 25 years, uh, it is. I remember how much I enjoyed going to the UK in the 80s and 90s because everybody I knew over there was ranting and foaming at the mouth at the advances of political correctness, giving the impression that the UK was never going to give in. And eventually they did.
Mm,
And they're worse than Westwood, California now.
mm,
The police have developed these procedures dictated by political correctness that are acidine in their conception and totally idiotic in practice. But they do it anyway. And you have a bunch of people assaulting a Jew on a street, and somebody interferes to protect the Jew, and that somebody's jailed for provoking the crowd.
oh yeah,
It's,
no, I mean they tell
you're
you
gonna be you're out of your mind.
they tell you that if you were attacked in the UK, don't yell help. You're not allowed to yell help. You must shout, call the police.
What for? I don't know, because the police are gonna say, what's going on? They're bidding on a Jew. Oh well, okay,
No,
well that's what they do.
no, it's. I saw a wartime British film, and a crew was in a bomber, and they were dropping leaflets out. They had they had these big wooden crates full of leaflets, and they were dropping leaflets over a German city. And one of the crewmen said, "Why are you doing it that way? This is how you do it." And he pushed the whole crate out, and you saw it go down to the ground and hit a building. So they went, "Oh, okay," and they were like just shoving the full crates out. So 200 pounds of leaflets would land. That would never happen today. For one thing, they wouldn't be bombing any city ever under any circumstances. And number two, if it was discovered that they were dropping crates rather than leaflets, all those guys would be court-martialed. Everything's changed.
If it were up to me, there'll be pallets of food landing all over Gaza without parachutes.
Yeah, exactly.
You
But
know,
first, you tell them where all the pallets are going to land.
yeah. You
So
say,
they gather.
you wanted food? Yeah. Catch this, babe. What? If you know that the side effect would be uh, pancakes.
Yeah.
You would have an accident of pancakes all over Gaza. I I for these, it's very difficult for me not to be upset, because I kind of understand what they do. Some things, the Israelis, that is. I don't want to criticize them for going overboard, trying to be nice, but I wish they didn't. Um, some folks misunderstand the Torah, and they think that every life is worth the same, and every life needs to be saved. And so they have to make every effort to minimize the loss of life. Minimize the loss of your own life first. Killing to protect the people of Israel is not wrong. It's a mitzvah. When I think that Israel has lost 1,900 soldiers in these 2.5 years, 1,900. That is more soldiers dead than we accumulated in Iraq in 20 years.
Mm.
Think about that for a second. 1,900 dead soldiers. Why? Because instead of bombing the tunnels with 2,000-pound bombs until nothing moves or can get out of anywhere, we sent, or rather Israel sent, soldiers into booby-trapped buildings and booby-trapped tunnels, chasing booby-trapped assholes to minimize loss of life. To minimize loss of life, you're sacrificing the best amongst you. This is asinine.
Well, Hamas builds IEDs into every structure they erect in Gaza. And so Hamas will set off the IEDs to kill both Israelis and Gazans. And then
Yeah.
they point to the Gazans and say, look what the Israelis did.
Yes.
And the world will say, fuck Israel. They're doing everything wrong. They need to stop, regardless of what the Israelis do. The Israelis could announce that they were no longer going to use aerial munitions and they were going to use Nerf guns, and they were going to knock out the Palestinians with foam pellets, and the world would say that's inhumane. That's a war crime.
Yeah.
So, as long as the world is going to call you war criminals, then just get the job done. Just get it done. In a matter of weeks after the war is over, the world will move on to whatever ADHD bullshit
and Europe will still be a nest of Jew-hating assholes.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's no reason to go to Europe. When I used to go to, let's see, the first time I went to London was in 75. Yeah, we moved to the Netherlands in 75. Went to London, loved every second of it. Went to Paris in 78, loved every second of it. Went from Stavanger, Norway to Belgrade, Yugoslavia. And until I got my passport stolen, I loved every part of it. This is 30, 40 years ago, 45 years ago. So I know that the hatred for Israel wasn't as white hot as it in Europe as it is today. But it's only because it's faddish, and the fad will die out. At some point, all these weirdos with their nose rings and their multicolored hair, they'll stop talking about Gaza. They'll stop talking about Israel, especially after the Gulf Cooperation Council goes in and starts rebuilding, and the Israelis provide security. Nobody's going to care. Okay, we were talking about Marco Rubio refusing to give Abu Mazen a visa to come to the United States.
About fucking time, I should say.
Yeah, and the reason he was going to come to the States was because the UN is going to recognize a Palestinian state.
Yeah, every year he comes to the General Assembly anyway, and gets a ball-tickling exercise from the pro-Palestine crowd. But Abu fucking Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas, the principal financier and commander that organized the massacre in Munich in 1972. Why are people treating this animal with any kind of respect?
Why did they treat Arafat with respect?
Yeah, but wait, he was the Arafat's second in command from the founding of Fatah until the death of Arafat, and then he became the commander of Fatah. I mean, this is the worst garbage imaginable. And it took Donald Trump and Marco Rubio to be the first president and secretary of state in the U.S. to say this vermin doesn't get into our country. I don't care where he's going to. About fucking time. About fucking time. Can you imagine Osama bin Laden coming to New York because he's going to the General Assembly or Mullah Omar?
Well, this is the thing that this is what people don't know is that all these people are the same. The Houthis are the Shia Muslim Islamic State. Um, they have exactly the same ideology as the Islamic State.
Yes,
So,
and wouldn't exist and would not exist without the Islamic State of Iran.
yeah. And, okay, the press, this is what's so funny. The press loves to call itself, the watchdog and this, that, and the other. Uh, they're not reporting on Iran anymore. Iran is undergoing regime change as we speak.
Yes, as we speak, every day a little bit.
Exactly. And the press is
And
also not reporting just how bad off Russia is right now. Russia is on the verge of having no gas or oil for its own people, and another winter is here. The Chinese have told them to go screw.
themselves.
Russia is. I mean, Trump said that the Ukrainians need to carry out some deep strikes. Well, he said that because they now have the munitions to do that.
No, now they have the Flamingo. They make the munition. They don't need to ask anybody for permission anymore.
Yep.
And that's the thing. The Flamingo is responsible in its short life for the destruction of 17% of Russia's refining capacity.
Yep.
Seven, do you know what would happen in the US if 17% of our refining capacity went up in smoke tomorrow?
Well, all over the country, we'd all be paying $10 a gallon for gas.
During a hurricane that forced the closure of refineries in Louisiana, the refining capacity of the US dropped 5% for about 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, gas in Washington, D.C. went up to $7 per gallon, and just about everywhere reached by the Colonial Pipeline was in the same predicament. Now imagine that it is actually destroyed. Not 5, 17%. We'd be paying $10 a gallon instantly. And there'll be shortages. And in some areas of the country, there will be lines on gas stations. That is what just happened to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about to get a shit ton worse. And remember this last push that Putin sent his troops to take the remainder of the Donbass before there were any negotiations. So they made a big push and they advanced 7 miles
Mm-hmm.
with something like 70,000 troops. They're all dead. They're all dead. The Ukrainians cut off the advances, cut all of the bottlenecks, and then played whack-a-mole with the poor fucking Russians that got isolated in pockets, completely cut off from supplies. And the entire effort is just officially kaput. Oh, but Ukraine is defeated. And all Putin could do, as he was throwing a tantrum over the loss of yet another little group of 30, 40,000 soldiers, was lob a few missiles at Kiev and kill a few children while they slept. It's an interesting thing. 98% of the casualties by Russia in this war are military. 63% of the casualties on the Ukrainian side are civilians.
Mm-hmm. the Russians don't have the brains to use their drones and missiles against military targets. They they are
No, among other
convinced
things.
well they are convinced that they can terrorize the Ukrainians into surrendering.
That's from the very beginning. That's the only thing they know how to do. They really think they're going to bomb Ukrainian mothers and children into surrender, and they don't figure out that every missile that hits a school or kills 12 children in an apartment building gets the Ukrainians more upset.
Well, okay, look how bad off the Nazis were in World War II. It took the death of Hitler and the taking of the German capital before Hitler's successor, who was an admiral, agreed to finally surrender. The Russians, and in the case of Japan, it took the emperor himself to come out and say, that's it, we're done. It took atomic bombs to make the Japanese surrender.
Yeah.
So the Russians are not going to take Kiev. They're not going to use nuclear weapons. They're not doing enough damage to make the Ukrainians even begin to question the validity of the war. It's just this ongoing Russian shitheadedness. The Russians are
Just enough to make Ukrainians want Russian balls in their hands.
yeah, and the Ukrainians are still taking prisoners, but there's some pretty amazing videos out there now of these drones just sort of hovering up to some guy sitting at the bottom of a tree, and he looks up, and then he just looks away, and then the drone just hits him, and he's gone. You know, it's like they've had it. It's like you're on Ukrainian soil, so you have to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I said it last week, but prepared to die.
Yeah.
Uh, my name is Inigo Montoyovsky. No,
Exactly.
Montoyovsky.
Yep.
My name is Inigo Montoyovsky. You are in Ukraine. Prepare to die.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody said, "Oh, Gonzalo was saying, eh, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. When you kill a killer, the number of killers stays the same. Fools! Kill two! Ending a
Exactly.
terrorist saves multiple lives." I say, yeah, kill 100 killers. You just reduce the number of killers by 90%,
Well, remember,
99%.
one of the Supreme Court justices said it was better that 90 guilty men go free than one innocent man be put in jail or whatever.
Yes.
That's not true at all. It's much better that the one innocent man go to jail. It sucks to be him, but 90 guilty men going free, just imagine the crimes they're going to commit. You know?
Yeah. No, I've been grappling with that idea for 40 years. I understand it conceptually, but the praxis is awful.
Yeah. No, it is. It
Yeah.
is. And
What do you do with the victims of the 99 criminals that went free?
yeah, no, it's true. It's because they're going to continue. The vast majority of them are going to continue with their violent crimes. I mean, some of these fuckers that we've deported or arrested, their list of crimes is astonishing. It's like they came into the country and they went nuts.
They went, well, impunity has that power over them.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see the
Impunity
video
has
of the
that power.
guy who? Did you see the video of the guy who got off the boat on the beach and instantly sexually assaulted a woman on the beach?
Yeah, why waste any time? I mean,
Exactly.
it's a meat rack.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a question of supply and demand. There's so many women available, so little time. Let's start now. It, they do the same thing in Spain. They do the same thing in Spain. And in Europe, if anything, the Social Democrats have succeeded in castrating Europeans.
Oh, sure.
So you'd say, how many times do these people have to rape your daughter before you react? What do you mean, how many times? If it was one of mine, the world wouldn't be large enough for the two of us. Instantly.
Well,
There are
I just
cases
watched.
where the same illegal immigrant is raped the same child 3 or 4 times. Why is he still alive? Don't talk to me about police. Why is the little shit still alive?
I saw something about a young couple in Utah. They're both 18. They'd known each other since kindergarten, and he finally asked her out on a date, and they were going to photograph the moon using a tripod. And an Ecuadorian immigrant just came up and shot him. And he was arrested because he was an idiot. And he said he wanted to kill himself, but he wanted to see what it felt like to kill somebody else first.
Oh,
And so in Utah, the law is insane because getting convicted of second-degree murder means you get a 6 year to lifetime penalty. So after 6 years, the family had to go in and sit at the parole board, and the guy got turned down. His next parole hearing is 2029, but it's like he said in his own words that he wanted to kill somebody just to see what it felt like. Why are you giving him second-degree murder charges? It was first-degree murder. He obviously was thinking about this for a long time.
yes.
And it was just some weird, for whatever reason, we were supposed to feel sorry for the Ecuadorian. It's like, what are you talking about? Put him in the electric chair and
Yes.
turn the volume.
I volunteer to pull the lever off.
Also, turn the electricity down just a tad, so it takes
Yes.
like an hour and a half. Do it that way.
Not bad. Not bad. And it smells like Kentucky Fried Chicken for a while.
Well, give everybody gas masks. I don't know.
Yes. No, it's okay because it opens up your appetite, and then we can all go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and celebrate the demise of the asshole.
I just don't understand why we're supposed to feel sorry for these savages.
Oh God! Well, Thomas, mind you, this is hate speech. Okay, I hate the asshole. I confess.
Well,
Why is he alive?
obviously, not every person who crosses the border is a savage, but the ones that are savages who prove that they're savages by their actions, why are we supposed to care about his village in Ecuador? He should have stayed there. He should have made a living out of terracotta pots. It should have been pounded into his head. You don't belong in the United States. You can't go there.
You said something, but it's neither here nor there, Thomas. Not everybody who comes here is a criminal. True, absolutely true. So fucking what? No, everybody who comes here is a walrus. It doesn't matter. The problem is, what do we do with the ones who are?
Yeah, exactly.
And as long as we do nothing, everybody gets fucked.
Well, this is the thing. Another thing the Democrats have done, they decided initially to take the side of the latest transsexual mass shooter. And then when they found out he hated being transsexual and wrote that he wished he hadn't been brainwashed, boom, they dropped him like an anvil,
Like
and
a
they
hot
moved on to the
potato.
next thing.
ungrateful trans bitch. How
Well,
dare
there
you question the wisdom of the people who guided you?
that particular case, I know exactly why that person did what he did. His mother had a child when she was a teenager. She later made contact with that child. They hit it off, and they had an award-winning documentary made about themselves. And in the background was transsexual Robin, who was not getting any of the attention that the sister was getting. So he decided he was going to go out and shoot a bunch of little Catholic kids, then shoot himself. And within minutes of this happening, the mayor of Minneapolis was mocking prayer, and there was that for a while. And then he started talking about how we need to protect the transsexual community, even though nobody has ever gone after the transsexual community in retribution for shootings by transsexuals. That has never happened before.
Which are piling up, baby.
I had
Like you
no
won't believe,
idea.
'cause
I
we've
had,
been talking. Remember the Zizians?
yes, I had no idea that I saw a list of about 25 of them. It was incredible.
Well, of course. I mean, crazy people do crazy shit. Imagine that. How
No, I mean
difficult is it to comprehend?
this is the thing. Transsexualism, getting your gender reassigned, it was faddish. It's falling out of favor now. And all these idiots who did it when they were 16 years old, they're regretting it because now the former female, the females have no breasts. The males have breasts and they don't want them anymore.
Yeah,
You
maybe
know,
they can refashion them into a fucking penis.
well, their testicles are now like this big around. So, the whole thing is
Well,
just a disaster.
you know what? I'll say it again. We've discussed this before. In the 90s, it was fashionable to attack Muslims for female genital mutilation. In spite of the fact, incidentally, that it's not a Muslim thing. Um, there are certain tribes in North Africa, in sub-Saharan North Africa, uh, Nigeria in particular. There are certain tribes in the Amazon who are not Muslim, but they have the same practice. There are certain tribes around Afghanistan that practice female genital mutilation, and when we got a few refugees in this country, particularly in Minnesota, uh, that started doing the practice, everybody went, "Oh God, leave the girls' clits alone." The same crazy females with rings on their noses and pink hair that were protesting against female genital mutilation in the 90s were protesting in favor of female genital mutilation in the 20s.
Mhm.
Because all of a sudden, we have to enable 13-year-olds who want to extirpate their sexual organs. Everybody with a half a brain knew this was crazy. Every doctor worth his salt, every person with a modicum of common sense knew this was fucking crazy. To this crowd, it didn't matter. On the contrary, the more that normies opposed the practice, the more it needed to be done to show them that there are different ways to being free. Well, now we have this problem. The fad is fading, and what we have is a bunch of people who have been damaged permanently and who are walking time bombs. If they do something like this and you catch them, hang them from the highest tree, please. The rest of the bullshit. Or, like Io says over there, feet first in the wood chipper.
Say it again.
Feet first in the wood chipper. That'll save some time. You did get that, didn't you?
Well, the thing is that these people are irrational. And if you call them out and you say you were against female genital mutilation and now you're for it, you wouldn't get somebody going, oh my God, you're right. That would never happen under any circumstances.
No.
There isn't a single leftist in the world who would do that. And this is how fragile these people are, that they cannot, anytime there's a protest, if you try to talk to somebody with a coat or a jacket on that says, leader, boss, whatever, will come over and order that person to not speak to you because they cannot bear to discuss their views with non-believers. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Omega Man with Charlton Heston, and he was he thought he was the last uninfected man on Earth, and the infection had made remaining humans into these night creatures. And there was a scene where an idealistic teenage boy went to where the night creatures were holed up to try and talk sense into them. And initially, the leader of the night creatures was having a conversation, and then all of a sudden he just started screaming, "Liar!" And they murdered him because they couldn't bear to live and let live. They couldn't bear to know that there was somebody existing outside their framework. And the Charlton Heston character, the only reason he hunted them down was because they were trying to kill him. And they were trying to kill him because they couldn't bear to let him exist. And the thing about the progressive base, okay, I don't know if you saw today, but on social media, did you see what was trending today about the president?
What they disappeared for 3 days?
They indulged in a fantasy that the president had passed away.
Oh.
And so that was trending on social media. And it was finally our long national nightmare is over. This is their answer to everything is violence, murder, destruction. They are no different from the Islamic State. They're no different from Al Qaeda.
And by the way, to all of you little shits out there who subscribe to this that Thomas is describing, if that were to happen, your president today would be J.D. Vance.
Yeah, good.
If you think it's bad for you now, you have no idea what would be coming.
Well, that idiot, what's her name, from South Central? She's 150 years old now. She's from South Central California. She has like the world's ugliest wig, and what the hell's her name? I forgot her name. Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters is trying to invoke the 25th Amendment. Maxine Waters doesn't understand the 25th Amendment because
number one is not up to her to invoke it.
Well, this is the thing. They have to get J.D. Vance on board, which is never going to happen. And number two, Even if they got J.D. Vance on board, that means he would be the president.
Yeah, no, they have to get Marco Rubio on board. That would be interesting. But not anybody can invoke the 25th Amendment either. Maxine Waters, who should have been in a maximum security asylum for the criminally insane a long time ago, may jolly well speed her own arrival at the loony bin, and sooner than anybody would entertain the 25th Amendment for President Trump.
There's nobody in the Trump administration in a leadership capacity who wants him gone. Like, think about Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is shining in a way that I never expected.
Wow. It's one of the nice surprises of the last 7 months.
Exactly. And Rubio is probably one of the most grateful people on the face of the earth that he's had this opportunity.
Oh, yes.
Because, okay, being a senator, yeah, sure, there's perks and all of that. But the Senate is known as the most exclusive club on the face of the earth because these are party animals for the most part. Rubio is doing stuff that's like bettering the lives of the planet. So if there's anyone who is grateful to Trump, it's Marco Rubio. J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance used to say horrible things about Trump.
Yes, and by the way, so did Rubio.
So did Rubio, so did Tulsi Gabbard. And all of them were given positions of responsibility that, as far as I can tell, they all respect. Like Tulsi Gabbard has been a pleasant surprise too. She seems to fully respect her position and take it seriously.
And I expected zero from her. You know it? I freely admit it. I expected nothing from the woman. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, look at that.
Yep.
She's actually doing a damn good job at it.
She is. And this whole notion that the world hates Trump and we're all in this together, it's so deranged. It was like when my communist brother called me and he was literally screaming like Hitler about how Trump was Trump had outlawed COVID tests. And it was the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. My brother said he had COVID, but he couldn't get a test. And I said, well, if you can't get a test, how do you know you have COVID? And there's this 10-second pause. He says, well, it's just a mild case of COVID. I said, but how do you know if it's COVID if you can't get a test? And I finally showed him that Trump had nothing to do. It was entirely up to the individual hospitals whether they're going to give you COVID tests or not. The president had no power to outlaw COVID tests. I mean, holy shit.
In any state. The only place where the president would have power to do that is D.C.
Is D.C.
And airplanes.
Okay.
Essentially, any kind of federal territory. Yeah, I'm pretty damn sure maybe some national park also qualifies. But, you know, it's the same thing. Did you see the string of idiocies? In between being happy because Trump died or worried because he disappeared for 3 days, like Biden disappearing for a month and not showing in public for 6 months ever worried anybody. In between, this cyclotimic, oh great, he's dead, or oh God, where is he? They come up with shit like he's planning to take Chicago by force using the army.
Which is hilarious because Oh, for God's sake, think about how stupid that is.
No, it's beyond stupid. And they invoke posse. He cannot do that because of posse comitatus. It, I have bad news for the fuckers. Chicago is a borderland. Chicago is one of those places that actually can be placed under federal jurisdiction in certain emergencies because it is on the fucking border. Oh, no! What do you mean? Well, on the other side of the lake is Canada, isn't it?
Also, okay, Trump's in a bunker planning out the strategy to take Chicago by force. Who's going to fight to defend Chicago against the army? The gangbangers?
Probably the only ones who will. Because everybody else would be somewhere alongside the shore, the short line with little flags welcoming the army.
Well, okay, in 1990, whenever the fuck it was, 92, is that when the Los Angeles riots happened? 92?
Watch riots? It was in 92, yes.
No, yeah, when the Reginald,
The
Rodney
King.
King,
The Rodney King, yeah.
Okay. The governor sent in Marines, not National Guardsmen, but active duty Marines. And
we just sent 700 Marines to LA.
Right. And they went out on patrol with the LAPD and they were going to serve an arrest warrant. And the Marines got into position and the LAPD said, cover me. Well, to a Marine, that means cover me with fire.
Yes, so literally.
The Marines put 200 rounds into this guy's house before the LAPD yelled, cease fire, cease fire. And then from the house, you heard the guy saying, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. This is a hardened gangbanger. And after 200 rounds tore through his house, he had all the fight was kicked out of him.
Oh, yeah.
You think those Chicago teenagers with their stupid drum pistols are going to be any match for the Marines if the Marines have to be sent to Chicago? No. For one thing, it's not going to happen. For another thing, if it did happen, it would happen in a matter of hours. I mean, you wouldn't have to plan anything. There's nothing to plan.
No. And you know, it wouldn't be the army either.
Yeah.
It would be the National Guard, maybe some Marines to support the National Guard. It's so funny to me that Democrats don't realize that 100 miles from the border or the shore, same thing, can be placed under federal jurisdiction at any moment. And that probably involves 90% of the population of this country.
No, it's
from New York and Los Angeles.
Go ahead.
From New York and Los Angeles to San Francisco and Miami, from Chicago to Detroit, from Buffalo to Houston, they're all within this area.
Well, okay, we had a second Department of Justice employee fired because she was screaming at the National Guard in D.C.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw a picture of her. She looked like she was 80 years old. She was bragging to the security guard in the federal building. I went like this, and they fired her. And it was like, why was she still working there? Why hadn't she retired? She was a crone.
Because some Democrat owed her a favor. Because she was effective at doing the commands of Democrats without question. That's the only reason those people are there.
Well,
Did you see the woman that Trump fired or is about to from the Federal Reserve Board?
Oh yeah. She's up
Did,
to three fraudulent mortgages.
yes. Did you see her face?
Hmm.
When you just look at her face, and I ask you, what do you think this woman does for a living? What would your answer be?
She works at a grocery store. And
I thought dishwasher in the kitchen of a home for the elderly. Why is she in that position of power?
Well, and now she's claiming she's not going to leave.
Oh, she is going to leave, darling.
Of course.
Remember Blather?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he wasn't going to leave either.
I'm not going to leave, as he was escorted by police and landed on his ass on the sidewalk. He was still saying, I am not living. I am not living. Don't these people realize how things work?
No, nobody knows how anything works. It's terrifying. It's actually terrifying that people think that Chicago gangbangers can take on the U.S. Armed Forces.
Imagine that.
I heard another fucker say that the Iranians had successfully moved their fissionable material before we bombed them, so we just bombed empty buildings.
Yes,
and it's just like
what they did is they took all of the enriched uranium and put it into tiny little suppositories and shoved it up the asses of the mullahs. So now, if you want to find it, you have to place the mullahs in a dark room. And those that glow in the dark are the ones who got an asshole filled with radioactive suppositories. I mean, you cannot take this seriously, can you?
Well, they don't understand. They think that Trump woke up that morning and impulsively gave the order to bomb, and we went out bombing without doing any reconnaissance, they don't understand that if the Iranians had moved their fissionable material, we would have seen them do it. They don't understand that. It doesn't ever occur to them.
I have to make a clarification because Gonzalo is correcting me, and I'll take his correction, that Lake Michigan, there is a contradiction in this statement, but is entirely surrounded by the U.S. Chicago is over 100 miles from Canada. There is a straight line of navigation to Canada through the Mackinac Strait. Therefore, it's not entirely surrounded by the U.S. God damn it. But I'm not sure that counts for the border. Well, that depends on where the border goes through in there. I wasn't talking a straight line on land. But yeah, around Sault Ste. Marie, you get to Canada. I was under the impression that was less than 100 miles, but if I'm mistaken, it would be the first time. New York City mayor is having a powwow with the gang leaders.
Oh, let me see.
Oh, you're looking.
I'm looking at a map.
Okay.
I'm looking at a map. I'm looking at the border of the U.S. Yeah, boy, this is very confusing.
I know.
It looks like Lake Michigan is cut down the middle. Lake Lake Superior is cut down the middle. Lake Huron is cut down the middle by the border. Lake Superior is cut down the middle. Yeah, this is very confusing.
Yeah. There's people who are spinning the 12-day war as a victory for Iranian air defense. What are you thinking?
That's
because
really
the
funny.
Israelis were forced to get American help. No, you fucking morons! The Americans didn't help Israel overcome the non-existent air defenses. They helped Israel perforate the very successful German technology bunkers protecting the nuclear centrifuges and all that jazz.
No, the Israelis, before the 12-day war began, the Israelis wiped out all of the. Remember when the Iranians launched the largest missile and drone attack in history?
Yes, Israel's response was to destroy all of the air defenses.
Everything was gone. So the Israelis had air supremacy over Iran. There was nothing shooting at them, and when the Americans came in, like you said, we bombed the German-built bunkers that they claimed were what do you call it? Impenetrable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we put a 20-ton bomb down a sphincter.
Yeah, there were 6 holes, and 12 bombs had gone into those 6 holes. So that meant that each hole got two bombs. That's how accurate the bombing was. And
yeah.
What another thing people don't understand, in a closed structure, when a bomb goes off, it's completely different from when that bomb goes off above ground on a field. The blast effect is it spreads everywhere above ground, and then
remember Beirut?
Yeah.
It goes on forever until it goes on no more. But inside the tunnels, because you have the initial wave and then the counter waves, because that thing starts bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
And the secondary waves are worse than the first one.
Well, also, it's been rumored, and it's never been admitted by the U.S., but if we dropped 2, they're called massive ordnance penetrators. Yes. They have a hardened nose. They have an explosive warhead, and some of them have basically what are rubber basketballs filled with rocket fuel. So those rubber basketballs are released by the explosion, and they bounce all around the inside of the structure, spreading rocket fuel.
As Father Chris calls it, the chunky salsa effect.
Yeah.
And no, Stephen, it wasn't that the bombs were penetrating deeper and deeper as they threw more into the same hole. No, these were the ventilation shafts. Ventilation shafts. Boom. It was overkill.
Well,
it was
because
overkill.
That's how Trump does things. When we destroyed the Russian, it was a Wagner group. They have some special name for them, battalion combat team or whatever. When we destroyed them in Deir ez-Zor, Syria, on February 7th, 2018.
Now they call it hamburger.
Well, exactly. The Russians said that it was like it was raining steel.
Literally.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. It's raining steel. Get us
Yeah,
out of here.
yeah.
They're killing us. And that was the last message from the battalion commander, who happened to die soon after the last words.
Well, one of the survivors said that an entire 120 man company was killed instantly.
Yeah, they never saw it. And I believe they never saw it. Uh, I have a pretty good idea that most of the Russian soldiers who are no longer with us never saw
No,
anything comparable to what killed them.
no,
Mm,
no.
Considering all of them have like 15 minutes of training, and then they have to go and make money so they can buy a helmet. Um, it's ridiculous. It's
Yeah, one of those idiot Americans who moved to Russia because it's such a paradise of morality and family values.
oh
He
yes,
wrote a letter to his wife saying that he had to buy his own helmet, his own uniform, and his own rifle. So she had to send him money, and she didn't have any money. So the her fear was that he was going to be sent to the front wearing his civilian clothes and
and he
carrying.
was probably.
Yeah,
And then when he gets to the front, the commander gets his salary, and if he's killed tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, it doesn't matter because he'll never see a fucking dime.
no,
And for a year after he croaks, his commander is gonna keep on collecting his salary.
yep.
I mean, the whole thing. And then they talk about corruption. Has Snowden been conscripted yet? Eh,
Wouldn't
he's
that be
probably
horrible?
hiding. He's probably hiding under his bed. I notice he's been quiet lately, which is
Oh,
quite natural.
I saw a quote from what the fuck's his name? The Swedish guy. Is he Swedish? The
I,
blonde-haired one?
no, Australian Assange.
Oh, Assange. Yeah, I saw a quote
Yeah,
from him
no,
recently attacking Democrats. So maybe he's afraid of Trump too, and he's seen a
no,
lot.
no. He's not afraid. He's trying to suck up to Trump to get a pardon. And every now and then you have the chorus of imbeciles asking for a pardon for Assange. By the way, what should Assange be pardoned for? There are no pending charges against him.
No,
But what should he be pardoned for?
what did Obama give him? It wasn't a pardon. It was a
Oh, Obama didn't give him anything.
no.
No, but the U.S. finally uh, accepted a deal where he pled guilty to some lesser bullshit. It was deemed that he had already served enough time in British prisons, and he had to. They flew him over to an American base in the middle of the Atlantic, where he signed he surrendered to American authorities. They signed the deal. They put him on a plane to Australia, and that was the end of it. And right now, there is no, as far as I know, there is no charges pending against him. There's
Mm.
nothing. I don't know why the fuck they're talking about. He managed to skedaddle the rape charges in Sweden because one of the victims died of cancer, and the other one moved to Israel. She probably thought that living next to Gaza was safer than living in uh, Sweden lately, and that Stockholm, and that was it. Without
Oh,
witnesses against him, those cases dropped.
that reminds me. We're talking about irrationality. The Hamas attack on the Nova Festival is the largest attack ever carried out on people who are under the effect of hallucinogenic drugs. When that attack began, the majority of the people at the Nova Festival were on either LSD or psilocybin mushrooms. So they had to run for their lives while hallucinating.
Yep.
Talk about a horrible way to go.
Remember when we were in high school and we would go like, whoa, to the pothead
Yeah,
or the guy having a
yeah.
trip just to see how they reacted in total panic? And if that woo was enough of a psychological torture, I don't even want to know what this shit was. Uh,
Well, see, I
what an
remember
awful way to go.
people saying, "What's happening? What's happening?" And the guys who were like, the ones running the concert were yelling, "It's Hamas! Run, run!" And there was just this confusion. And
Far
I read
out,
this.
man.
Yeah, well, I read this piece that the majority of them were under the effects of hallucinogenics, and so a lot of them couldn't run. They had no ability to run because they were hallucinating. They were swept up by the music because the music didn't
Yeah,
stop playing.
I did see videos of people running, but then again, the majority is not all of them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Assange released Hillary's emails. No, he didn't. Number one, he promised to release a lot of shit he never did because he didn't have it. Just say. But I like Poser's question. Has Snowden been conscripted yet? God, I would so love that. Thomas, that would make my month easy. Easy.
Yeah, Snowden is he's an amazing guy. Talk about being an incredible combination of fact and fiction.
And loser.
Yeah,
Talk about being a loser. Now he wants an American pardon, but how do you pardon a Russian citizen?
yep.
It's like, stay there. Putin loves you.
Snowden was offered permanent asylum by 4 different countries: Ecuador, Nicaragua, Bolivia, and Venezuela.
It's a pity he didn't take Venezuela. That would have been poetic.
Yep.
And Russia. Remember, you mean Snowden or Assange?
Snowden.
Snowden
4
was
months.
offered, yeah, Evo Morales, who's now locked up in his property, surrounded, and when he surrenders, he's gonna go to jail for child abuse and rape of a minor.
Mhm.
His party got all of 2% of the vote in the last election. Bye bye, Evo Morales. The other one you said was Venezuela. Venezuela
Yeah,
is about to get a beef enema any day now.
Assange recommended Russia to Edward Snowden. He said he'd be
Yeah.
the safest in Russia. He applied for political asylum to 21 countries.
Hmm?
Wow.
He applied to political asylum.
He was rejected by everybody except for Russia.
Yeah.
What? Hello?
No. Gonzalo is asking what's
He
the
was.
deal
He
with
applied
Bolivia?
to.
He applied to.
He didn't go there. He applied to, or he was offered by Bolivia.
Yeah.
Bolivia, let's see. It says Ecuador, Nicaragua, Bolivia, and Venezuela offered him asylum, but he decided on not to go to any of them.
Well, he did well because, like I said, Bolivia is now falling into a right wing government, and the guy who offered him asylum is on his way to the slammer.
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador, the same thing. The guy who offered him asylum lost the next election. Now we have Noboa, who is another ultra conservative, as they call anybody who's not a communist in South America. And he would have been in deep doo doo. Venezuela is about to get a beef enema courtesy of the U.S. Navy. And Nicaragua is the only place where Ortega is still rather strong, but I doubt very much that's going to last. Uh, very much. And the deal with Bolivia is that the Bolivians finally got tired of these socialist shitheads from La Paz, and they're gone. El
Well, I
movimiento
just
al socialismo, movimiento al socialismo, movement towards socialism, ended up being a power movement. No surprise there.
no, I mean Snowden at the time. I remember everyone telling us that this had destroyed American intelligence. Turns out it didn't.
No. Tried, but I
Right.
knew there was. I knew it wasn't so bad because first he went to Hong Kong and got
Mm-hmm.
a meeting with the Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
and he offered the Chinese the loot in exchange for asylum. And the Chinese said, "No, we already have all this shit. We don't need this." And then he flew to Moscow and made a deal with Putin. Um, that on the part of Putin, that was an act of war.
Well,
The
okay.
rest,
Here's here's the thing with the Russians. Putin gave the FSB a couple $1 billion in order to carry out an operation in Ukraine that would make the Ukrainians embrace the Russians when they invaded, and the FSB upper echelon officers pocketed that money and did nothing in Ukraine.
no,
They
assured Putin that that would be the case.
exactly. And so if Edward Snowden had everything and gave it to the Russians, it'd be like giving the Chinese the plans to build DC-9s. They still can't do it. What are the Russians going to do? We keep hearing these stories about Russian intelligence prowess, and it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Never did.
No,
It
no.
never did. If Ronald Reagan could fuck him in the ass with Star Wars, it's because their intelligence is shit.
Yeah.
Period. So, you know, what are Russian intelligence trials? Well, the assassination of a political opponent in London with polonium,
Mm-hmm.
with an umbrella, with a little weapon hidden in an umbrella. Well, that's okay for some kind of spy movie, but that's no big deal. Anybody can do that. It's really no big deal.
Well, the thing about the Russians is that they're the kings of irrationality. That Putin is completely irrational. Like Putin is just going to keep the war going until his own people throw him out the window. That's what's going to happen.
Yes, like I said, there is already a window in the Kremlin with his name on it.
Yes, And by the time when they get there, the Russian people are going to have no cars, they're going to have no food, they're going to have no ability to heat their homes,
Oh,
they're
they
going to have no
already
running
don't.
water.
They already don't. In the last 2 winters, you had cities with up to 1 million people who had no heating.
Yeah,
They're burning wood and fat to keep their asses warm. Uh, Russia is at the brink of collapse.
yeah.
And Ukraine would be if it didn't have the support of Europe, but you know what? It does have the support of Europe. That's all the
Well,
difference.
also, the Ukrainians are completely different from the Russians culturally. They're you know, as a culture, they aren't our favorite, yours or my favorite culture on the planet, but they are different from the Russians. And given time, they're going to lose a lot of what makes them not our favorite culture on the planet. Whereas the Russians are going to stay the way they are. Unfortunately.
You have a point there. In that sense, Ukraine is the next Poland.
Mm,
That was not my favorite culture on the planet. The Poles
no,
were
mine
bloody
either.
nasty sons of bitches.
Yeah,
But they have softened their ages lately. And, they moved away from some of the most recalcitrant attitudes. Uh, and they kind of mainstreamed a little bit. I always liked the Hungarians better than the Poles, by the way.
yeah. The Poles took to communism like a duck takes to water, and life in
Like every
Poland.
totalitarian people.
Well, okay, I think I told you this story. There was a story about a Polish officer, and they made a movie out of it. He was captured by the Soviets in '39. He was sent to Siberia, and he escaped from the Gulag, and he walked all the way to India. And from India, he made it to Western Europe, and then he had to wait until '87 for the fall of communism. So he was unable to go back to Poland from 1939 all the way up to 1987.
Yep.
And we forget that the Poles were I mean they liked their communism up until it was time. It was almost a real civil war. It came very close, and after that, for a long time, the Poles, I mean, as somebody once said, there's a reason they make Polish jokes, but they've changed. They're different now. They've become much
In, in,
more.
in, ma- in many respects, they have.
Yeah, yeah. But see, the Russians haven't changed for centuries. You look at their literature, you look at the leadership of their czars, and they've been the same for centuries. Like the various sort of short stories about peasants and czars. I mean, it's exactly the same today as it was 500 years ago.
Yep.
So
It hasn't changed anything. Gonzalo says Hungary has great soup. Goulash, my friend, is a
yeah,
potage, not a
yep,
soup, and it is amazing. And what people don't realize about Hungary is that they also have great wine, like Egri Picava, Bull's Blood, and great music, and great operatic music. And I'm not just talking about Liszt. Um, there is a tradition of operetta in Hungary that is absolutely fascinating music. So they are civilized people, and like the Russians, um, they speak that language nobody speaks. But on the other hand, they speak all kinds of other languages because they know nobody understands in any way. Were there any legitimate elections in former Ukrainian regions that wanted Russian control? No former Ukrainian region, as you call them, ever wanted Russian control. Period.
Well, the elections that the Russians had, basically, they went from door to door with armed troops and they handed them a ballot and pointed the rifle at them and said, "Do you want to be part of Russia or part of Ukraine?" And they said, "Oh, Russia, of course, by golly."
Of course.
And that's how they got the vote.
Yeah, and even then they had to deport to concentration camps a number of the population who, not even under the knife, would say so. In the last legitimate election there had in those areas, people voted not only to reject Russian interference, but they voted massively to join the European Union. And in the autonomous Republic of Crimea, which that's what it was, Crimea is not an oblast, it's an autonomous republic. In the autonomous Republic of Crimea, they voted uh, massively against the Russian candidate and in favor of integration with the European Union. So what would the results be today? I don't know. There's been a lot of ethnic cleansing and there's been a lot of repression and there's a lot of people who have been sent to camps in Russia. So I don't know what the result will be today, and I don't give a shit.
Well, what the Ukrainians need to do before they have any kind of massive referenda is they need to deport all the Russians. They need to win the war, and then all the ethnic Russians that came in during this period from 22 or even from 2014, they all need to be deported. And
yes,
then have your elections.
Yes. And Poser is asking, will Ukraine join the EU after the war is over? You bet your ass they will. As a matter of fact, the European Union has a permanent office in Kiev, which was just bombed by the Russians, not coincidentally. And they voted to join the European Union and have been in the process too since 2010.
The Russians are gearing up. The Russians are testing NATO over and over and over again. The most severe test was sending spy drones all over Germany. I mean, blanketing Germany. So NATO is going to have to respond militarily to Russia, and it can't be any half measures. It has to be, they have to pound something Russian into the ground. And the easiest thing to do is to attack Russian troops in the Ukraine. The Europeans could do it from the air the way they did in the Yugoslav Civil War.
In the Balkans.
What?
In the Balkans.
In the Balkans.
But with much better planes now than they did in the 90s.
Exactly. And so if the Russians are testing NATO and NATO has to respond, NATO should definitely send air power into Ukraine to flatten everything Russian that's remaining in Ukraine, and then of course the Ukrainians can take advantage of that with their ground troops and move forward as fast as they can to take that ground back. But I saw a London Times interview with a former commander of something, and he said that Putin's entering the bunker phase of his dictatorship, that he's getting more and more desperate. I don't know how true that is, because I don't know I don't know how much Putin knows about the reality of the Russia-Ukraine war. I don't know if there's anybody who has the ability to tell Putin what's really going on. Um,
Mm. I don't think he has the foggiest idea.
yeah.
Eh, there have already been, in 3 years, 7 purges
Hmm.
of the highest ranks of Russian military. Eh, if history teaches us anything at all, is that these petty dictators are averse to bad news.
Hmm.
From Napoleon to Hitler, from I don't know, Mao to Little Rocket Man, uh, generals who bring back news have a short life expectancy and a much shorter professional um, career left.
Well, there's another thing about dictatorships is that any general who sparkles on the battlefield is executed because he's seen as a
Instantly.
future threat.
He's a political threat to the Grand Kahuna.
So even when it comes to fighting wars, dictatorships can't do it because nobody's
No,
willing to win.
they
Nobody wants,
suck at it. They suck at it, and they always lose.
because it's safer to lose than it is to win.
Yes, and
That sounds
nobody
crazy.
is going to tell Putin how desperate the situation is, not only in Ukraine, but in Russia itself. Nobody is going to tell Putin that essentially the country's broke, that they have absolutely zero ability to keep the economy going, that their manufacturing is shot, that their production of energy is crap, that their trains don't run, the planes don't fly, and they won't last another year without a full collapse. Nobody is going to tell that to Putin. He still thinks he is the head of state of the biggest power in the world.
Mhm.
He is also afraid of his shadow. Did you notice that when he meets with anybody at the Kremlin, he meets at ends of a table that is so fucking long they need a telephone to talk to each other? He won't let anybody close to him,
Mhm.
not even say Macron. It's interesting.
Well, I've been doing a lot of research on South Korea, and South Korea had a history of dictatorship since its formation. And each
Yes.
guy who took over after the previous dictator would say, you know, I'm going to bring democracy, and then he would just stay in the
Fall back
dictatorship.
into old habits.
And one of the dictators was murdered by his own security detail, and he was murdered at a karaoke party. And one of the boom boom girls was a blonde Australian, and his security detail came in while he was singing and shot him dead. And since then, the South Koreans have had to remove the majority of their presidents from power. It's incredible. It's like a South Korean tradition, and they go from hard right to hard left, from hard right to hard left. The current fucker is hard left, and he's in love with North Korea, and he he ordered that the loudspeakers be turned off. And so, in response, the North Koreans tried to attack South Korea through the DMZ, and the South Koreans had to open fire as fire warning shots.
Mm.
So it's like It's and the South Koreans. If you look at South Korean cinema, it's all about class warfare, about the unfairness of class warfare. The richest people in South Korea own family conglomerates that have everything from
Oh yeah,
hotels, oil companies.
it's almost a feudal system.
Exactly. And the thing about the rich is that they have no taste whatsoever. So they spend money on Christian Dior clothes, but they demand that the clothes be super ugly. So the way you can tell really rich people in South Korea is by the ugliness of their clothing and
Yeah.
the
Uh,
tackiness.
But by the way, other than the Japanese, is there any people in Southeast Asia with even a modicum of taste? Because I find them all tacky as shit.
Well, this is the thing that, okay,
The Japanese are different but elegant in their own way.
yeah, Japanese art is pretty amazing stuff, and Japanese calligraphy, et cetera, et cetera. The South Koreans are not on the same level. Like, okay, you can buy these pen and ink drawings of dragons in South Korea, and what the person does is they take a brush and they douse it in like gold paint, and then they go blah, 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 blah. So it looks like scales, and then they
Hmm.
put horns and eyes and everything on it, and it's a magnificent piece of art that's also a tacky piece of shit, and there's a lot of that in South Korea. But the thing about I'm really fascinated by South Korean cinema because it's so emotional. There's a lot of burning emotion that you don't see in, say,
Mm.
Japanese cinema or Chinese cinema.
Mm.
And so I'm really fascinated by that. But the standards of beauty, South Korean men tend to be pretty tall and beefy, but the women are still that sort of Asian flower,
Yeah. Get a little mouse.
Yeah, and like breast implants are really big in South Korea, but they look awful because the rest of the woman's body is a little Asian body with these
Yeah. Yeah.
enormous
Too,
bazoo.
too many curves in your gesture.
Well, it's just not.
They're like a 2x4 with big tits.
Yeah, and it's really eerie that the South Koreans are really big on cosmetic surgery, and it produces this horrifying doll-like look on both men and women.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen the legendary South Korean
Kind of like
ads,
Laura Loomer.
well, they make people look even weirder than Laura Loomer, which is saying a lot. Yeah, I don't get it. Everybody in the world now, all female entertainers, are having the fat pads under their cheekbones removed.
Yes.
And so they're left with this weird skull-shaped face. And
Yes.
it is not a good look. It is not a good look at all.
No. No. You're absolutely right.
And you look at the old movies from the 1940s, and you see faces that weren't produced that weren't produced in an operating room, and I don't know. I hope this goes away. I hope I live long enough to see people really start appearing. There's a movement that's being led by a British actress. She was in the movie The Titanic. I can't remember her name, but she hasn't gotten any cosmetic surgery, and she's almost 60 years old, and she
Yeah.
still plays leading lady roles. So she's leading a movement against cosmetic surgery, but you're supposed to get cosmetic surgery now in Hollywood when you're 23 years old. What?
I never liked the results of cosmetic surgery.
No.
Back in the 80s, remember when people used to murmur behind the backs, she just had a bad job.
Yeah, yeah.
It was otherwise beautiful women with faces ruined, but in the early 80s, the most common one was the piggy nose.
Mm.
All of them ended up. And frankly, when I look at a woman face to face, I don't like to look at her nostrils. It's not an enticing view. But that's what plastic surgery in the early 80s was. Is the opportunity that everybody had to look up a woman's nostrils. I never understood the concept. I never understood what a woman with a great nose full of Tuscan character should turn it into a piggy snout. Never understood that. I still don't. I am not an opponent because ultimately I don't give a shit what people do to themselves, but definitely not a proponent of plastic surgery. Age gracefully, for crying out fucking loud. There are women there who have had so many skin pores. They probably have a knot the size of your average fist in the back of their heads, and they all look
Well,
like almost Oriental.
there's a California cosmetic surgery look where the women have giant lips, they have filler in their face, they have Botox, and then they have weird eyes that like you said, they almost look Oriental.
Hmm.
And these can be entertainers. I remember there was a bass an electric and acoustic bass player who worked in the news industry, and I wanted to interview her. And she invited me to this party where she was performing, and I asked somebody, where is she? And they pointed to this woman who had her back to me. And so I went over and I said, excuse me. And she turned around and I almost screamed because the 8x10 photo she'd taken was prior to her cosmetic surgery.
Mm.
And now her face was ruined. It was unphotographable. And I ended up, she would never commit to a time, and so I never ended up interviewing her, which was bad because she was a great player. But she ruined her face. She had everything was different between the 8x10 portrait that she sent me and this person standing in front of me. You would never know that these were the same people. But it was a California look, and it's still common today. And the cornerstone, the centerpiece, is the big puffed up lips. And
Oh God, yeah, I call them duck lips.
yeah, a lip job will, when you look at it from the side, when a woman turns her head, that's when you can really see
Oh yeah.
the damage done.
Well, does anybody find it attractive?
Oh, okay. Look at Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is worth
Oh
200
God,
billion or whatever.
yeah. By the way, great example because Jeff Bezos. I don't know what happened here, but somebody told me that Jeff Bezos proposed to Sofia Vergara.
She's got a Hispanic name.
No. He first proposed to Sofia Vergara,
Oh,
and Sofia Vergara said no. By the way, Sofia is a great gal. I've known her since the 90s. Uh, It's one of the few people I can say that Hollywood did not change her. She is what she is. Take her or leave it. And apparently, this boxer of a woman had surgeries to make her look like Sofia Vergara. But the result is that she looks like Sofia Vergara, like a cartoon looks like the original person. It, it's awful.
It's a terrible.
It's it's
She's
absolutely
ruined her
fucking
face.
awful. Her lips, her big fat
Yeah.
lips looks like something out of Roger Rabbit having a nightmare. Uh, the only thing she didn't do is her arms. So her flabby arms, in contrast with the rest of the plastic figure, why the fuck? Why would anybody do that?
Well, we had a friend of the family. She was Tim's age, and he met her in college, and we knew her for 30 years. And then she had this terrible meltdown where she asked him when they were going to get married. And he said, I'm not going to marry you. And she said, but we're supposed to get married. And he said, no, you're my friend. Where I'm not going to marry you. You're crazy. So she had this spectacular meltdown, and then he completely cut her off. And then somehow she found out, I guess she read the obituary, she found out that my mother had died. And she was very close with my mother. And so she asked if she could come to the funeral. And we said, yeah. So I didn't go to the funeral because I was in the middle of a Meniere's attack. And I came to the parents' house. I walked in, and there was this stranger sitting in the chair. And she said, hello, Tom. And I said, hi. And it took me 5 minutes to recognize her by her voice. She had absolutely ruined her face. She now had a nasal voice, and she was constantly drooling. She had a handkerchief that she kept tapping at her mouth. She had basically, I don't know where she had her surgery done, but like her mouth was numb now, and so it was constantly drooling. And she was Jewish, and she had a big Jewish nose. She'd whittled it down to smaller than Michael Jackson's. She'd had her eyes done, so now that they were like this. Had her lips plumped out, had her face, her cheekbones. She had cheek implants, and she had a giant chin implant. So from the side, she looked like the man in the moon.
Which?
And well, it took everything in my power to not stare at her, because she had been such an attractive young woman. She wasn't like model beautiful. She was like girl next door pretty, like really, really pretty, really pretty. And now she was a monster. And I was so shocked when I realized it was her. Like, my hair was standing on end. She had a very distinctive voice, and I finally recognized her voice. She had, during that intervening period of 15 years, she'd gone out and had everything possible done to her face. And it was horrifying. It was absolutely awful. And I was just wondering, how did she look in the mirror and think, this is what I want. This is what I want. How did she do that? It's got to be some form of self brainwashing, that
Copious
you
doses
surround
of
yourself with
JNB.
people who all look the same.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's copious doses of JNB. She has to be
Yeah,
drunk out of
yeah.
her wits. That's the only
Yeah,
thing
she
that
was a
would
heavy drinker.
explain it for a normal person. Um, on the other hand,
Well,
there's a lot of people who grow up to hate themselves, and they would do these things to themselves unconsciously just to destroy their self.
yeah, she initially lied. She claimed she was in a horse riding accident and wrecked her face and had to have it all redone. Then finally, she just admitted that it was just cosmetic surgery. Nobody
Yeah.
asked her. She just brought it up herself. But I mean, that was something else. It was so amazing because if she hadn't done that to her face, she would have looked fine. She would have been a very hot 60-year-old. But now she just looked like a California housewife, a rich guy's arm candy, and it was a terrible look.
Yeah. You just mentioned the one thing I couldn't abide for 2 seconds next to me. Um, those plastic California wives.
Yeah,
It's and you say eye candy, but I never saw them as beautiful.
no,
I
they're not.
always saw them as incredibly tacky.
Yeah, yeah,
Just saying, kind of like,
but
and sometimes monsters. I mean, did you see Madonna lately?
yeah. Look at Madonna, for example.
What the
Madonna,
fuck is that woman done to herself?
she was aging really well, and then all of a sudden, she decided she wanted to look like the latter stage Peggy Lee. The singer Peggy Lee, Madonna now looks exactly like Peggy Lee. And Peggy Lee ended up singing on stage. She'd had so much horrible cosmetic surgery that her face wouldn't move anymore. So she would sing like this, holding the microphone, and Madonna is she's not been able to deal with her aging, and now
No,
she's a monstrosity. She's dating younger and younger men. Her current dude is like
who
24, and
who are
she's
obviously in it for the moolah,
well, of
because
course.
the, and it's got to be a shit ton of moolah because I cannot conceive of the same person wanted to be next to that monster for anything under 6 figures.
No,
How
it's
about
it's
the other thing I noticed in Hollywood lately is all of these women who, granted, some of them already had big mouths uh, uh, before, but now that they've done their surgeries, they're beginning to look like Canadian characters in South Park.
yeah. The current fad is to go to the country of Turkey to have crowns put on, and the Turkish crowns are horrible. They trap food under them, and so your mouth rots out, and you end up losing all your teeth. The way the Turks do it is they grind each tooth down to a little peg, and then they
Hmm.
put a tooth on it, and they
Right.
glue it. And you have to be really careful when you do that. I had a baby tooth that had no permanent tooth under it, and it came out almost a year
Yeah,
ago.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, the baby tooth came out about a year ago, and so I got an implant put in. They put a titanium peg into the jawbone, and then they put a crown on it. And this process for one tooth, um, it took months, and I'm going to have to go to the dentist every 3 months for the rest of my life just to make sure everything's good. And the cleaning I get, it's not expensive. I'm willing to do it, but this shows you how important it is when you get dental work done. Like, um, this little one implant was very expensive, and they told me I could get a bridge, which I would take out. But the problem with bridges is that you get bone loss, or I could get an implant. The bridge is a fraction of the price of an implant, and an implant is very expensive. But I got the implant, and everything's fine. But these people are going to Turkey, and they're having an entire mouth done for $3,000. Well, you're going to end up losing all your teeth and have to wear dentures, or get these awful. It's an upper row implant. It's all one tooth, and it's held in by two pegs, and you get the whole top and the whole bottom, so you have no natural teeth left. And you can do that, or you can wear classic old dentures. And the problem with dentures is that you end up with bone loss in your jaws. So you go to Turkey.
The problem with having a bridge done is that sometimes it comes with a Mexican family under it.
Well, when I had the baby tooth taken out, and I had the steel peg put in, that was one operation. And then it took several months for the peg to settle in the right place and everything. And I had to wear a bridge over the peg. And the bridge, it was pink, so it matched my gums, and it had like a tooth that was the same color as my teeth. And it gripped the two teeth on either side of the peg. So I had to wear this thing all the time, because if you have a tooth taken out and you don't have it replaced, your teeth start going like this. You know, they you have to have something there. So I had to wear this.
They're going to try to fill the gap any way they can.
No, I had to wear the bridge for months, and everything's fine now. And I just think of these poor people who saw on a TikTok video, go to Turkey and get a full mouth of teeth for only $3,000.
Listen,
and
let's face it. Have you seen the teeth of the average European?
Mm-hmm.
Would you go to Europe to have some tooth work?
No.
Okay. Have you seen the sanitary conditions? By the way, in Turkey now, they have these luxury hospitals, including dentistry, that are designed exclusively for North Americans.
Yeah.
Canadians go there a shit ton because it's cheaper than the US. And I have to say, in a more serious level, that the level of care there is not that bad at all. It's not your average Turkish hospital. But still, if you have any kind of serious condition, would you go to the VCU Center in Richmond, MD Anderson in Houston, or a Turkish 5-star hospital for foreigners?
Well, I'm gearing up. I have to get a colonoscopy. It's that time to get a colonoscopy, and my mother had polyps. She had to go in every year and get polyps taken out. So it's been recommended that I go get a colonoscopy. And I searched long and hard to find the best place I could. It's run by a gigantic Arab man. He's very friendly, and he's considered the best in the field. He's the one who he gives endoscopies to my ear, nose, and throat specialist. So I'm going to go there, and they've given me I have the medication. that you have to mix with water and then you have to chill and then drink,
Oh,
and it
been
cleans
been
you
there,
out.
been there, done that, my friend,
Yep,
and gotten rid of the polyps as well.
yep.
Um,
So I'm going to be doing
do
that.
do one thing. It's not pleasant, but make sure you tell him to do a deep cleansing, which
A
means
what?
a deep cleansing, which means you're going to have to use a larger amount of that awful concoction that you drink, and it makes you have a Dutch shower out of your ass. Because the worst thing that could happen to you is what happened to me the first time when they decided that the uh, cleaning of the gut in the first try wasn't so deep. So you have to come back. And it's bad to have a stick up your ass. It's very bad to have it twice in a row. So make sure they give you the reinforced medication to shit everything but your brain.
Well, it's two
So you
different
only have to do this
medications.
once.
One
Yes.
is one is a pill and one is the liquid.
One is the pill, the other is the liquid. Yes.
And okay, I've had this done a couple times before. My mother hated it because the worst part of it for her was that after the procedure, they put you in the farting room, because what they don't tell you is that a colonoscopy will result in air inside your intestines, and if
Yep.
you don't
And it's gotta come
expel
out.
if you don't expel that air, it's going to hurt like hell.
Yep.
And so my mother could not bear to be in a room full of elderly farting people. And
Yeah,
my
but
view
you
of
live,
volunteer,
you live in the Socialist Republic of California. Eh, I,
well,
I, I had the procedure done at a regional hospital in Virginia. There was no such thing. I was in my private room until I farted to my heart's content. And I went from there to home. Um, at one point, I thought that a single fart would take me home without stopovers. But no, it was far more comfortable in the sense that no, there wasn't a room. I didn't have to, lay in a room with a chorus of farts. No,
well,
it,
see,
I understand your mother. I wouldn't do that.
I just figure, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Like I had to get 2 biopsies done on my right eye. So I got to watch the needle go in, chop out the piece,
Isn't
and
that
then
lovely?
sew it up. It didn't hurt, but I got to watch it. And
I didn't have to watch the colonoscopy, and I had absolutely no fucking interest.
oh, I used to have a doctor. The last time I had it, he asked me if I wanted to watch because there was a screen right next to me.
Oh,
And
there
it's
is
like,
a screen, and at one point I kind of woke up, and I saw this little tube go in through the pink hose, and I said, "What the fuck is?" And they gave me more propofol, and what the
yeah,
fuck is
yeah,
going on?
no. The,
Uh,
the 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 doctor asked me if I wanted to watch, and I said no. Give me more
Hell
knockout.
no!
What
Listen,
are you talking about? Why would I
that,
want to watch?
number one, I have this thing about watching any ass over 40 years of age. I don't like watching it. Under 40 with very, very strict limitations. Mine, under no circumstances.
Well, when I had it done the last time, there was a candy striper in there, a student nurse, and I said, "Oh boy, a candy striper, isn't that nice?" And they said, "Oh, do you want her to leave?" And I said, "No, of course not. She's got to learn about this stuff somehow. I'm going to be
Yeah,
incontinent. I don't care, you know."
it's my contribution to science and her instruction.
See, I've been learning a lot. I don't know if I told you or not. I went. as part of my physical, I had to have a blood panel done. And the phlebotomist told me that there were no screaming children. This is a new place I'd gone to. And I was like, wow, no screaming kids. And I asked her, which do you prefer, screaming children or adults? And she said, oh, I have 6 kids, so screaming children don't bother me at all. I don't like adults at all. And I said, why not? And she said, because they always fight with me. And I was like, what do you mean they fight? They say, don't take my blood from here, take it from here. Don't do this, don't do that. They struggle, they push me, they do. I've never heard of anything in my life. You're going in to give blood for a blood panel. Why in God's name would you get into a fight with the nurse? What is wrong with you?
It's kind of stupid. I usually go into the room and I say, I'm sorry, they told me I could find Dracula here. And they start picking up, and then I sit down and says, would you like the right or the left? I don't know. Whatever's more comfortable with you. It's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
So, no, I never had a problem. I'm always talking to the person. I'm always fascinated at the whole process anyway. And you know, when you start pumping into the thing, and sometimes they say, don't pump, you're going to blow it up. Okay, do it easy. And they tell me, you know, people usually can't look at their own blood coming out. I said, I don't have a problem. I just want to know how much you're taking because I need some. And
this has got to be a California thing. Californians pride themselves on being the biggest assholes who ever lived, and this is the bottom of the barrel for me. Fighting with a phlebotomist, telling the phlebotomist where you want to be, what you want to have the blood drawn, and they say, I can't draw it from your shoulder because you don't have any arteries here. Those are veins. I don't know. People in this state are whacked. They're completely whacked. And
I don't know. Find a vein, do the thing. Let's get out of here. And by the way, one thing that I'm fascinated with is how I never feel the needle going in.
Yeah.
I mean, the new needles are so thin and sharp and perfect. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, and they had those reusable needles
that they used over and over and over again, and they got blunt.
Over and over again, and sometimes the nurse would come to my house, and the first thing they would do is put all the equipment on the stove and boil the thing for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That was the way to get it sterilized. But the problem is that after so many uses, that thing wasn't sharp.
No.
It wasn't sharp at fucking all.
No, they had to push it in with blunt force.
Yes. And it felt like that. It felt like, oh, fuck. The new ones, they go, flip. God, I have to look at it to make sure that they're actually doing it because I don't feel anything in the vein.
No, I remember.
What a marvelous thing.
We had to get gamma globulin injections, and that shit is it's like as thick as honey. Yep. And so the nurse goes over to the autoclave where the reusable needles are, and she lifts the little lid and takes the needles out with the forceps and fills it with this honey, and then it takes like 5 minutes to inject this crap into you after she's like blunt forced the needle into your arm. And that was, it's really funny. Old people, too many old people don't like modern technology. I love modern technology.
I love modern technology. Has made life so much easier, man.
Yeah. In
so many ways.
It really has. And I want to live long enough to see what comes next. You know, I love modern technology. My mother was an outrageous Luddite that She didn't even use typewriters. She hand wrote everything, including business letters. Never used email, and wouldn't get on the computer. I tried to tell her, Mom, this is like the world's biggest library. Well, if I want to go to the library, I'll go to the library. I don't want to use that thing. So she wouldn't use it, but I got on the computer I got on the internet when I was 38, and it was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. This is, and just remember how long it took back then. You would turn on you would try to get online and would go, and pages that you wanted to load would be like loading because it was whatever.
The dot matrix.
Yeah. No, I love modern technology and I'm not afraid of it. I'm still learning the ins and outs of this frigging iPhone. It's like really amazing. An iPhone, this iPhone has more power in it than like the computers they used in World War II to calculate atomic bomb outputs and things like that.
Yeah, a whole fucking building of computers. Hello there.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking. Yeah. I'm looking at. I'm getting a Mary from Remex says that she recently learned about my outstanding background. So I'm sure that's real.
Yeah. Let me see. Assange says, I'm going to take a look at some messages because we don't have that much time left.
Okay.
Assange, we sent him home with a pat on the wrist. Go home. True. He's going the route of promote the Russian and terrorists. He's going the route of promoting the Russians. He's been fucking working for the Russians his entire fucking life. He was tweeting for the Russians from the Ecuadorian embassy in London for years. Doing propaganda for Russian causes and intervening in affairs in Italy, in Spain, in France, here. The guy's been a Russian agent his entire fucking life. I don't understand anybody who sees Assange with any kind of sympathy. I don't understand.
I never understood it. Remember there was some he claimed that he was releasing this piece of helicopter or gun camera footage that showed us killing a journalist in Iraq or something like that. And it was like, this fucker was a terrorist. He was carrying a camera, but he was a terrorist. And I don't know, the whole thing, they made it into a documentary. Well, they made it into a documentary, and it was like when the Italians interviewed this guy who claimed to have fought in the Battle of Fallujah in 2004, and they were given orders to murder all civilians, and this guy was
shit.
He was misusing all this terminology. Like, he claimed that he'd been the gunner of a Bradley fighting vehicle, and he was misusing the terminology. He was a fraud. He was like a baker in the army or something. And here's the Italians. And the Italians claimed that we used poison gas in Fallujah, and for the evidence, they showed these corpses. They showed corpses that had been lying in the sun for like 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably seen that yourself. You turn black, you shrivel up, and your mouth opens wide. And they said, "See, look, this is mustard gas." No, that's not mustard gas. And It was so infuriating at the
That's
time, and
that's being
now
roasted. That's being roasted.
now I'm not. I can't even be bothered to be infuriated because I realize that okay, we're never going to do something like what we did in Iraq. We're never going to do that again. That was a one-time deal. Um, the Iraqis are currently arguing whether or not they should lower the age of consent to 9.
The
So
the government in Iraq is on the verge of collapse. The
as well
Baghdad
as
government, it's going to be interesting over the next 2 years. The only area of Iraq that has got self-government that somewhat works is Kurdistan,
Mhm.
the Iraqi region of Kurdistan. The government in Baghdad is uh, number one controlled by Iran, but Iran is going out the door.
Yeah.
Mhm. So what you have is all of these unemployed Iranian agents trying to lower the age of consent to 4 so they can fuck kids to their heart's content. It's not gonna fly well. The Sunnis in Al Anbar are not happy at all. The Shia in Basra are not happy at all. There's already very violent confrontations again in Suleimaniya, and it's not gonna be right. And we're not going back in. It's not gonna happen. But maybe a B-2 will have to fly over there too one day. I don't know. We have other means of intervening. What should the CIA be doing today? Nothing. Whenever they do something, they fuck it up, man. Um,
Yeah, they should just be watching.
yeah, provide intelligence. That is what they should be doing. They should observe, analyze, gather information, and provide our government with fresh intelligence. That's all they should be doing. Um, Fidel Castro used to brag that the CIA tried to kill him over 600 times. We know it's bullshit. Castro lying, perish the thought. Yeah, it's bullshit. There were at least a couple of very serious attempts. And of course, the CIA failed, as they failed with just about every uh, uh, operation that involved changing governments, killing leaders, or whatever the fuck. Because really, these people, as spooks, cannot find their ass with a flashlight. So, what should they be doing? Staying the fuck away from anything operational, gather intelligence, observe, and report.
Yep.
Um, and no, they didn't try to kill Castro 600 times, but they did try twice
No.
and failed.
Well, also some of the things that Castro was talking about was um, the CIA was going to poison his beard. I mean, they're going to poison his beard. They're going to have somebody
No,
sprinkle poison on his beard. I mean, come on.
no, but there was an attempt to poison him at the Hilton Havana,
Mm-hmm.
later renamed the Hotel Cuba Libre, which has not gotten an upgrade since. So it's kind of like a shitty hotel today. Um, the Nacional got an upgrade by a Venezuelan company controlled by Spanish interests associated with Barcelona. So it's kind of okay. But even then, you're in a hotel that is supposed to be a luxury hotel, comparable to, I don't know, the Biltmore in Miami, and and the shower leaks all over the bathroom. If you take a shower, you need a canoe to get to the door, because whoever the fuck built this thing didn't know how to install the the the, um, the glass door in the bathtub, and the end result is that it leaks all over the place. Great job, man. Great fucking job. But then you look at Havana and you figure out uh, 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 where the workers come from, and you're not surprised at all. That's probably the first time they saw a bathtub in their entire lives. No wonder they cannot fix it. Um, God, don't get me started on Cuba again. Um, you know, what I think is interesting is that we are going to capture Maduro.
Mhm.
I hope that our dragnet on Cartel de los Soles extends all the way to people like Pablo Iglesias, José Luis Zapatero, Juan Carlos Monedero, and other big wigs. Pablo Iglesias is a former vice president of Spain who formed the political party in Spain that took him to that position with seed money from Hugo Chavez. The fact that a guy financed by Hugo Chavez and the Iranian mullahs made it that far without ending up in jail is a mystery to me. And
Well, you saw what happened in Mexico. The parliament got into a fist fight because the Mexican public and the majority of the parliament want the U.S. to come in and start bombing the cartels. And
yes,
we've done such a good job of closing the border that the cartels aren't making any money.
no, so
Which
they have to turn on to the Mexicans to get money from them.
and also, if the cartels aren't making enough money to pay off the government, then the cartels are no longer any use to the government, and so they're it's time to bomb them with B-2s. And you know,
But there is a problem. The vice president of the Senate, a guy
yep,
put there by Scheinbaum, is a cartel man,
yep,
and the cartel is moving into politics.
mm-hmm,
So through their association with Morena and the politicians of Morena, they are grabbing positions within the Senate and the government, and this is heating up in the worst possible way.
mm-hmm.
And people like Lily Telles, a wonderful woman senator, uh, are probably going to be the first victims
Mm-hmm.
because she is very very loud in her denunciations of the uh, uh, narco politicians that control the government in Mexico, and she refers to Morena, the governing party, as narco politicians, and she's right. She's absolutely correct. Everything she said so far is right on the mark, and that is what makes her dangerous for Morena and for the cartels. And we're going to
Well,
end up bombing them.
you've heard of the Mossad rearranging the furniture, right? That if the Mossad wants to warn you, they go into your house and they rearrange the furniture in your house.
Yeah.
That's your warning.
And
I
you
wonder
know
what
that
would
they're
happen.
vulnerable.
Well, this is the thing. I wonder what would happen if, say, the Delta Force was able to locate the heads of all these cartels and rearrange their furniture in such a way that they were they were they were told basically knock it off or the B-2s are coming. I wonder if, and it was not done publicly. I wonder if it would have any change in Mexico. Probably not.
I have the impression that you're right. Probably not. These people are not intelligent. They're uh, 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 ruthless,
Mm-hmm.
they're evil, but they're not particularly intelligent. They're not in that position because they outthought their rivals. They are in that position because they outkilled them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they're capable of understanding subtlety. They would probably fire the maid or kill the help. I don't know that they would understand the message at all. Um, Sarah is saying that they already tried to murder Lily Telles, the woman I was talking about several years ago in 2000. Um, I hope she has great security these days because I'm pretty damn sure she's in the crosshairs of all the cartels and Morena. Uh, Certainly, Shambound would be the one to give the order, and she will. Mm. What? How difficult it is to make Americans understand the kind of shithead that is controlling the destinies of these countries to the south.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we need to build a much, you know, the Great Wall of China.
Mm-hmm.
We need one 3 times as high and twice as wide,
Mm-hmm.
separating us from these things. But we'll see. Um, However, and there is a counter revolution going on in Argentina. We're going to find out in October if Milei can survive it or not. Uh, I think he might. I think he might, but they're already sharpening the knives. Um, and when I say I think he might, it's not just wishful thinking. I think he may have a larger knife now. Uh,
Okay, he was attacked recently, and it was clear that the number of attackers was tiny, and the
yes,
opposition to the attack was pretty damn huge. What I was gratified to see is he was absolutely surrounded by security, and they were all wearing purple tracksuits. Like they were all ready to fight. They weren't wearing suits and ties. They were in their ass kicking clothes.
yes. And they were able to speed him away from harm. But that was an almost spontaneous attack with stones, with street cobblestones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of which actually hit the front, the front of his car. Um,
Okay, he released a tweet that showed him in the truck with a rock right over his head.
right
And he
over
said
his head, flying right over.
he said the only thing that the Kirchners represent is hate and violence.
True. And it's a good thing that the Kirchners that day didn't have a guy with a gun with a sight on
Mm-hmm.
the side of the street. You see, the attack was improvised and sophomoric.
Mm-hmm.
A professional hit would have succeeded in that situation. Maybe Millet will take it more seriously now. He's always very exposed. He loves to escape from his guards and mix with the people in the street. He loves to do that. And somebody
There's
has
two
to put it in his head that, lovely as that may be, he cannot keep doing it.
there's two ways of doing that. Saddam Hussein did that, but he did that. He would
In
just
controlled
appear without anyone.
circumstances.
No one knew where he was going. So
Yeah,
Malay, if he wants to mingle with the people, he has to just appear out of nowhere and
yeah.
then disappear just as quickly. He can't say, I'm going to be here on this particular day at this
He,
particular
he
time.
can't he can't walk out of his car while on a very public act.
No,
He cannot step down from the podium and mix with the people. That's what he's
no.
doing now. Now, if he wants to, all of a sudden, out of the fucking blue, in the middle of the city of Cordoba, show up in a corner and start hugging people for 10 minutes and get the fuck out of there,
Hmm.
that he can do.
Hmm.
But like you said, that is like something um, that even Saddam Hussein got away with.
Yeah. No, he did that when we were looking for him. He would just appear out of nowhere and say hello and mingle with the people, but he hadn't given anyone the opportunity to set up an ambush.
Exactly.
And he would only do that
and disappear before they know it, before they
exactly,
connect.
exactly.
Let me show you. Doña Sara is just sent us what we were talking about just now. Here you can see Millet in his car.
Yep, yep.
And there is the cobblestone. That is a cobblestone. Those are the cobblestones that pave some of the streets of Buenos Aires. It, locals just started pulling cobblestones out of the street and throwing them. I'm sorry, but that is definitely not kosher.
Well, it could kill you. It could kill you if they use slingshots throwing something like that. That could kill
this
you.
shit, this thing without a slingshot will kill you.
Yeah.
2 pounds of stone landing on your head, it's gonna do a lot of fucking damage.
Yep.
So there you go. I wanted to show you this because Nadia Sara was kind enough to send us the link. So there we go. And that thing, we that was our weapon of choice when we were fighting the army on the streets of Buenos Aires. You have no idea the damage that shit does. Uh, Cars, windshields,
Mm-hmm.
heads. There was the police usually run away when we started throwing them because that thing would go through a police helmet like butter.
Sure. Sure.
And it did. And it did. It's like I said, uh, at least 2.5 to 4 pounds of stone of granite with any force. If it drops on you, you're dead. But anyway, let me, since we're there, folks, we've come to the end. I haven't said a word regarding our bribe for funds. Because, hey, what the fuck? I was saving my breath for our conversation today. But before I leave, I have to tell you, support is what makes things happen. We don't get money from the Open Arms Foundation or Soros or the Clinton Foundation or any of the old disbursers for USAID. We don't get money from Qatar. We don't get money, like Tucker Carlson. We don't get money from anybody. We do what we do with the funds that you, the viewers, send us every now and then. So please do it. You can do it by going to quadverum.com/support us, and you can use PayPal, any credit card, whatever you want, except for uh, white pigeons. And you can do a one-time or a monthly contribution, and it will be very appreciated. And it'll go to keeping this channel and SQV running. And the other way, if you are in Twitter, where we currently have way over 800 people watching. Go to at the brother lie and subscribe. $5. What is $5? It's a half a fucking latte grande in Starbucks. Except that the latte grande in Starbucks is fucking drinkable, and with this, you get a whole month of us blathering. So at the brother lie subscription, quadverum.com/support us. And of course, if you are in Odyssey, you can always join the channel as a member or send a, a payment of any amount you choose to support or through the chat. And with that, I've said enough about money today. Thank you so much. I will be seeing you tomorrow for What Meat, and we may discuss a little bit more. We haven't been discussing anything in a week now, so hopefully this will be interesting. And Thomas, do you have anything that you wanted to discuss that we didn't?
No.
No. Well, in that case, just one thing, Terry. Uh, Lovely your comment over there. Bring it to the quad meet tomorrow. And a last word for us, Thomas?
Amain.
Amen?
Amain. AMAIN. Amain.
Amen. Interesting. A-M-A-I-N?
AMAIN.
Perfect. Amen.
AMAIN. Amain.
Thank you so much. I insisted because people were asking me to ensure the spelling. And Amen it is. Thank you so much. Not to be confused with Omain. One letter changes the meaning of everything. And thank you, Thomas. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you guys next week. And you'll see me tomorrow. Take care.